And we're live. Hey everyone, I'm Marco. I'm one of the code mentors here at the FirehoseProject. And today we're in Snowmageddon here in Boston and Cambridge. If right behind my camera is a ton of snow stacking up on my windows, you can barely get out of the house. But hey, info session gotta happen regardless if there's 5 feet of snow outside the house. So let's get started. Hey, what are we gonna cover in this info session here? We have about half an hour. I definitely want to have enough time at the very end to answer all your questions. So think about what kind of questions come up. If you have some already, either feel free to email me, right? You guys all have my email, or reply in the comments box right on the Google Plus page. So what are we going to cover? First, I want to run you guys through our core curriculum, right? What kind of web applications you're building, what kind of skills you're getting out of that, what kind of features you're learning, what about algorithms, test-driven development. We're going to cover all the technical elements that you're going to touch upon and learn and absorb while going through the core program. And we're going to talk about group projects as well and how we customize our curriculum for entrepreneurial type students as well as people who look for jobs. And then I quickly want to touch base and talk about the support system that we have at the Firehouse Project, right? Mentorship sessions, how they work, how we use them, what our Q&A forum does, and also how weekly office hours really help our students accelerate. And then last, I really want to answer that question that I usually get, which is, what kind of skills do I have? What can I do once I graduate beside like having my application live on the internet as an entrepreneur or like landing a job as a web developer on a technical team, right? What are those skills? No, I answer that as well. So at the end, again, I answer your questions, so feel free to email me or put your questions in the comments right below. And I'm happy to go through them. Hopefully I have enough time to answer all of them. Usually we should be good. I already got a few of you guys' questions, which is awesome. Okay, let's jump in. Core curriculum, right? What we're doing. So first off, right, you're gonna start the Firehose project. And in the first about 4 hours, that's probably about 10 hours of work, we want you to build and launch your first fully functional web application and ship that live on the internet, right? And we're doing this so you get a full 360-degree view of what it's like being a developer. Shipping something live on the internet, right? It's really, really important, and getting that feeling of, hey, I'm getting feedback from my customers and I'm in the driver's seat as a digital creator right now. That's what we're gonna want you to experience in the first like 4 days with us, right? What we're building is something fairly simple. It's an advice splurting, generating application where simple pieces of advice get pulled randomly out of a database and get displayed on the site, and people can add their own advice to it. It's nothing too fancy, but again, it gives you a good overview of the Ruby programming language, of the Rails framework, of your database, how to use version control, how to use GitHub, and how to ship something live on Heroku, and then share it with your friends, have them use it, and give you user feedback. You may not be in a position to act on that user feedback because you just spent only 10 hours learning this, but you already know, this is actually really good, right? And the goal that we're shooting for, the bar that we have for all of our apps, all of the applications that you're building is when you're at a party and you pull out your phone and you show your friends, hey, I built this last night. The reaction that we're aiming for is like, oh, wow, you built this? That is awesome, right? That's what we're going for. So all the apps that we're building are obviously like mobile friendly. Mobile first development is really important for us. So they look good on your iPhones, on your Androids. They look good on tablets, and they look good on desktops as well, right? Okay, that was the first 10 hours with us, right? So you want to keep the learning curve steep. It's called the Firehose Project for a reason, right? Drink from the fire hose. That's MIT, one of MIT's motto, and that's how we're operating too. It's a lot of knowledge that we're conveying in a short period of time, but we know that it works for our students. So keeping the learning curve steep, we're going to build a Yelp clone next. We call it Nom Nom Nomster because we really like pizza, so that's what we choose that name for. And so in the Yelp clone, what you're going to build, I think the most important feature, one of the most interesting feature is you're going to write the Ruby code to grab an address that somebody puts into a form, so it saves in a database, translate that address into latitude and longitude coordinates, pass it back to the Google Map API, so we're going to get a pin on the map. Right? We're writing all that Ruby code to make that happen. But it wouldn't be really a real-world application if that's all it did. People can add their places, like Marco's awesome t-shirt shop that maybe sells t-shirts like this would be on there, but nothing else could happen. That's not really a Yelp clone, right? People can find it. But what about star ratings? So we need to build a feature for that. What about user comments, right? so people can comment about their experience ordering t-shirts from my awesome t-shirt shop. We need to build that feature too. Now, on the other side, right, I'm the t-shirt shop owner and I have my shop on there, but I also want to hear actually when people give comments on my shop. So we build an automated email notification feature that if somebody gives a rating or somebody leaves comments, we need to get an automated email. Hey, somebody left a comment on your awesome t-shirt shop. You may want to check it out. So we want to build that as well. And then last, we build a little bit of a dashboard where store owners can log in and see some standard analytics, right? You want to see what your average ratings are, how many comments you received in the last week or so. And that's pretty much like to pull everything together. And then we can ship that, right? Again, making it look good on mobile, tablet, and desktop, because that's what we're aiming for. And that's kind of like, it takes usually students about, say, 2 to 3, sometimes 4 weeks building a second application. Now, next, we put it one step up. We built an online learning platform, a video online learning platform, right? Something like Skillshare or Udemy or Coursera, right? And if I say platform, what's important there is that means we have different user roles, right? So there's people coming together on our platform. So that means we're going to have, on the one side, students that want to buy and if you think about the word buying in a moment, they want to buy our video course from instructors that sign up too, right? Obviously, we need to have user authentication. We learned that already in the Yelp clone. We obviously need to build that in there too. So sign in, sign up, registration. But then we need to on a database level, keep track of who's a student, who's an instructor, and how are they actually going to buy and purchase the individual courses. So which student does only see an overview course versus can access the full, like let's say 12 lesson plan of learning something, maybe how to run an awesome t-shirt shop that sells t-shirts like this, and they can put it, boom, right on the Yelp clone, right? So thinking about that, how do we write the Ruby code to keep track of that on a database level is really complicated. And next thing, when I say purchase, we obviously need to integrate with a payment API. We want to make sure we can accept credit cards and payments right on our platform. So we integrate with the Stripe payment API so that feature works. Another thing that we're doing is at that point, we introduce JavaScript and for a better user experience, right? So at that point, you're not just getting to understand JavaScript, but you're actually building something that is valuable to your users, right? Really real world specific. You're improving the experience, the user interface of your users on your online learning platform. And in particular, what we're building is a drag and drop interface so your instructors can reorganize their lessons without having page refreshes, right? You all seen that. You can drag and drop and different items reorganize themselves. So we're building that from scratch using JavaScript, some Ajax and some jQuery for the page refresh without page reloads. So that's kind of the core curriculum on the Rails side where we build web applications. In the same time that we're learning this, we also need to get you into really good state of writing really good Ruby code. So we're also running you through solving several coding challenges along the way throughout the entire 12 weeks. And that's really important that you know how to solve algorithmic challenges and solve computer science problems. We took those challenges straight out of interviews, technical interviews for junior web developers from places like PayPal or people, some of our mentors who've been working at Yahoo and Flickr and Bitly, the link shortener that Twitter uses. They've given us feedback on what's the best. So people actually in our program prepare for the technical interview in week 2. And that's not something that you do in the end because you need to learn how to write really good Ruby code to be able to land those jobs if you're on a job seeker path, right? So that's going to happen in the technical, in the core curriculum. You're learning how to use Rails really well. You're also learning how to write really good Ruby code. And then we split things up depending on what you want. If you're a career switcher, if you want to land a job afterwards, we put you on one track. That track is the group project. If you're an entrepreneur, we help you in the capstone phase, building and launching your own web application. Let's talk about the career switchers first. So you've gone through the first 8 weeks. We have 4 more weeks with you. We put you on a group project. And a group project is really, really important because it combines everything. Not only are you going to code collaboratively with other people and experience that real world process of how to build software as a team, right? And if you take a step back, the best software in the world is always built by great teams. So knowing how to work in a team and working as a team coding and building features and launching web applications is absolutely crucial to be a high impact employee on day one. So that's why our students are doing this for solid 4 weeks. And we're not building a simple web application. What our teams are building, our group project teams, they're building a chess game. Now, some people might say like, a chess game, that's not that exciting. But if you're thinking about the logic that you need to write in Ruby code to, for example, move all the pieces up and down a chess game and keep track of where they are at any given moment and make sure we keep in track on a database level which piece got kicked out, and you don't build this by yourself, you build this as a group with, let's say, 4 other students, it becomes a real challenge. And that challenge is what's giving you the competitive edge as a job seeker when in a job interview, because you can talk about everything that went wrong in the group project, all the challenges you overcome, and you can show on GitHub, which is publicly available, how you actually code reviewed, refactored, gave feedback to your team members, how you communicated. Those are key skills that technical hiring managers are looking for in a job interview. That's what's happening in the last 4 weeks on a group project. Now, if you're an entrepreneur on the other hand, right, you might not care about landing a job and mastering the technical interview skills. But what you really care about is launching your own web application. So what we're doing with you guys is we wireframe your idea out. So we have every single screen drawn out so we know exactly what we built. And then we're breaking it down into individual coding blocks and then build upon that and build every single feature out until we have your application live. Okay, that's the core curriculum, splitting you up into a group project or your entrepreneurial track, depending on what your personal coding goals are. Now, let's talk a little bit about the support system, right? Everyone goes, oh, the mentorship sessions are awesome. And I know because our mentors are really world-class mentors, right? As I said, they're senior web developers at PayPal. They have tons of junior developers that they hired themselves so they can give all the job seekers really good feedback, right? They were VP of engineering at Flickr, at Yahoo. They held key positions. They were CTOs at Techstars companies. So they really know what they're doing, and we're handpicking them. But at the same time, what's really enabling those mentorship sessions that you have every single week is our Q&A forum. And usually people tell me, oh, forum, come on, Mark, that's not that awesome. No, but let's see what that does, right? So if you're coding, for example, on Thursday night, right, and you run into an error message, and you try going through the troubleshooting steps that we taught you that will help you down the line, how real developers go through troubleshooting their own code, and then it doesn't quite work, right? You're stuck, you're spinning your wheels. We don't want you to be in that position for any time at all, right? You should focus always on learning and getting new skills. So what we're gonna do is, you can take your error message, take a screenshot, put it in the forum, submit it, and within an hour or two, we get back to you and give you a solution so you can continue learning and you're not stuck. What that does is that when you arrive at your weekly mentorship sessions, you're free of error messages, right? We don't have to go into mentorship sessions, and that's a key differentiator how we're using mentorship sessions compared to a lot of other programs with mentorship out there. We're not spending that time troubleshooting, hey, you're missing a comma on line 5, or hey, you're missing an equal sign on line 37 in your controller. What we're going to do is we actually build on top of your current existing skills because the forum already took care of all these simple error messages. So you're coming into the mentorship session error-free, and maybe you just build an algorithm, and we go in together and we pair program and make that algorithm even more efficient, the same way we do it in the real world. Or maybe you just done test-driven development, right? That is writing software tests before we build the features so we can ensure that everything is working properly by running our tests and nothing is broken. That's industry standard for any tech company or startup out there. So our students, we have a full module focusing on test-driven development, and everyone's going to learn that. But maybe you've gone through that and you've got your test coverage, let's say up to 50%, right? In your mentorship session, we can maybe crank it up to 70 or 80%, and we can show you how to write better tests from our own personal experience working at top-notch companies. So that's when we use the mentorship sessions to get your skill up to the next level, right, and get you one step higher. Then the other thing that we have in the support is our weekly office hours. And I love the office hours. It's a place where all of our students come together once a week in a virtual hangout similar like this, but we can all see each other. And it's really important to come to office hours, I'd say, and then actually see how we're troubleshooting certain error messages. So let's say you're just starting out, and then you would come in and you see like a student in week 8 or 9 sharing their code and having an error message, right? And then you see how professionals would debug that code together with that student, right? So you might not understand everything, like, okay, this is like a test here, or this is like a really complicated piece of Ruby code that moves the king or the queen around on a chess game, but you kind of see where it's going, right? So it's really awesome for you to see like the future, kind of like, oh, this is where I'm going to be in 6 weeks. The other thing that's happening is you're also going to be down the line in office hours, see questions that people have who are maybe in for their second week, right? And then usually what happens, our students are going in and say like, hey, I had exactly the same problem when I was in your shoes. Let me answer that, that question and help you solve it, right? And that's a different kind of way of learning, because you're teaching back and it solidifies the lessons that you learned going through the program. So those are the office hours, right? So we're thinking about the Q&A forum that really enables you to come to the office hours, to the mentorship sessions, error-free, and then you also have the office hours where we all meet. Now, that's a support system, right, that we're having. So next thing is, the one question I always want to answer is, what can I really do afterwards besides building my own application and launching it live, or besides landing a job and being really prepared for a technical interview? And that is, you know, if you have an idea, if you want to build something, if you want to build a web application, you have the skills to sit down, let's say for a weekend, for a couple of days, and crank that out and build that and ship that live on the internet and get your first round of user feedback and be prepared to take that and consistently improve your own idea. You're definitely in a spot to do that, besides landing a job, right? So that's kind of what I want to run through of our core curriculum, the support system, answering that question. Now I'm going to check if you have a few questions, because I've already seen a few pings coming in. I'm going through and answer them. Let's see, what do we got? And feel free to ask me more questions. I'm about 2 minutes ahead of you guys, so answer them as soon as you can. Ask me them as soon as you can. So, okay, good question here. How are the materials presented? I like that question. Materials are presented in multiple ways, right? We have a lot of written instruction, written guides. We used to have a lot of videos, but we get rid of those because learning from written documentation prepares you much better for the real world. If you're a developer, a self-sufficient developer, you going to read documentation, coding documentation for APIs, for open source projects a lot. And reading that and getting ready by going through our written guides actually prepares you really well to understanding written documentation that other developers written. Our guides are really, really detailed because hundreds of students gone through, and we consistently improve that basically several times a week. But going through that is really good. It also helps you coming back to them really easy and finding that one piece of code that you need to, like, oh, how do I do email notifications again? And you go in there and you find that within a few seconds rather than jumping back and forth in a video, which would be rather annoying. And then, but we also do have videos that we give to you at the moment that you need it, right? So for example, we explain how the entire model view controller, the MVC architecture of a modern web application fits together. Or we have object-oriented programming videos that explain what object-oriented programming is. Those are key concepts that you need to know if you want to land a job or if you want to be, I'd say, like a really proficient developer. So it's a combination of both, and I think it works really well together because we give you the knowledge, give you the information you need at the moment when you're ready for it, knowing on what you previously achieved. Great question. All right, what else we got? How many hours do I need to dedicate? Okay, that's a great question, right? We say anything. There are students who go through our program right now full-time. There's also students who dedicate, let's say, 15 to 20 hours a week, right? If you're on an entrepreneurial track, we don't have to go that deep into the whole interview prep and the whole preparing you for technical interviews. The algorithms, sometimes you don't have to go, so we can focus more on launching your own application. That oftentimes means you're good with about 15 hours of dedicated coding time per week. If you go into want a job afterwards, I suggest you dedicate about 20 to 25 hours per week to the program. Now, usually people tell me, can't I only spend 5 hours a week coding and crank it out to 18 hours? And I just talked to a student who actually dropped out of a program from one of the other online coding bootcamps and came to us. And I said, what was not working with the 18 weeks long program? And he told me, look, it's not about the length of time, it's the quality of the curriculum. And if the quality of the curriculum is poor, you can spend 18 weeks and you're not going to learn anything. Plus, it was a huge reason to procrastinate for him because he always said, oh yeah, I still have 6 weeks going. My answer to that question is why you want to have it in 12 weeks and put the 20 hours or 25 hours per week into it, or maybe even more, is you want to hit a point, that inflection point where you become a self-sufficient developer. As soon as you hit that point, and our students usually hit that depending on their coding background, in maybe, let's say, week 7 or 8, so many more doors open up for you, and you're gonna make a leap, an order of magnitude leap, where you learn at a completely different speed than somebody who hasn't hit that inflection point. Now, if you stretch everything out to 16 weeks or 18 weeks versus 12, you're going to hit that inflection point later down the line. And if you compare two students, one who hits the inflection point earlier to somebody who hits it a few weeks later, the differences are drastic because so many doors open up for you. So that's why we're doing 12 weeks and compressing that. And so far, all of our students love that because they feel that empowerment once they hit that inflection point. That's another great question. What else do we have? Is the group project really that important? Yeah, definitely. I can't stress that enough. The best software in the world is built by great teams. If you don't know how to code collaboratively on a team, it's going to be really hard for you to find a job because that's what technical recruiters are looking for, right? Can that person have an impact on day one? If you sit down on your new desk and you're like, I don't know what to do right now, that's bad, right? They probably made a mistake hiring you at that moment. You already need to know how to work together as a team to be ready for a job. Plus, it teaches you how to be a good developer, how to communicate clearly, how to refactor code, how to actually use GitHub in advanced mode and not just on your own coding in a silo. That's really not going to help you land a job. So group project is absolutely crucial. Without a group project, it's going to be really hard for you when somebody asks you, so tell me a time when in your development when you learned how to code, where you overcame a problem, right? You can say, well, I had this error message over here that I caused myself. That's not that exciting that you fixed the comma or figured out how gem works. What's really exciting is if you say like, okay, we're on a group project, we're trying to build this advanced algorithm for our Jest application, and then we miscommunicated and we got this huge merge conflict and all our code was messed up. And here's how we fixed it. Step 1, step 2, step 3. That's what happens in the real world every single day. Knowing how to do that is gonna make the huge difference when you're looking for a job. All right, what else do we got? What's the application process like? Great question. Application processes, right? We wanna make sure that you guys have two things. A little bit of coding experience and you actually do enjoy coding. That's why I put out pre-work. You can apply it to the pre-work. Go to theFirehoseProject.com. Look in the top nav. We have bootcamp pre-work. Apply for that, right? Give us some good information. Tweet out that you applied so we can see it faster and we can give you access to the pre-work. Not only do you get a sneak peek into the whole platform, but you're also going to actually learn something. Right now, this is free, so I don't see no reason for you not to apply and go through that. I follow up with a lot of students and see how they're doing. You're learning HTML, CSS, build a little splash page, landing page, put that up on a server. You learn how to write Ruby code and solve some scripts. So application process starts with going through pre-work, and that's for you to learn something new and for us to actually see, do you have the motivation and are you actually able to learn how to code and write really good Ruby scripts? If you already have some experience, right? We had some developers who already have 14 years of professional development experience. They came to us to upgrade their skill set and learn how things done in the real world because they came from academia background, and they still got a lot of knowledge out there. For them, the pre-work was really easy and they went straight to the coding challenges. But for a lot of people, it's really valuable to actually understand how things work and get that knowledge. So definitely apply to the pre-work. Again, go to theFirehoseProject.com, look in the top nav and apply to it. And I'm gonna look through your applications as soon as they come through. Here's another one. What's the difference? Great questions, guys. What's the difference between us and other coding bootcamps, right? So first of all, if you're in the research phase, again, go to theFirehoseProject.com, look in the top nav, there you find a coding bootcamp guide. That explains everything, difference between in-person coding bootcamps, online coding bootcamps, hard-hitting questions you should ask during the interview process, right? If the places you talk to don't have those things, they're probably not the highest quality coding boot camps. You shouldn't spend your money there, right? Use those questions, ask those same questions, right? That's what we value in a good coding education, and a lot of coding boot camps agreed with us on that. So go to our homepage, do yourself a favor and follow that guide. It's like 8-9 chapters, and it's really helpful, and it's completely marketing free. Not selling you anything there. I want to help you. So go in there and go through that guide. Now, I'm totally derailing here. What was the question again? Oh, what's the difference between us? Yeah, I think the difference between us and other coding boot camps, online coding boot camps, as well as in-person one, is the depth of the curriculum. You're not going to find another place where you learn that much algorithm and how to write really good Ruby code, right? As well as building advanced Rails application. And we see that consistently throughout comparing our code with our students and other programs. It's a lot deeper, and it's a lot more applicable to the real world because that comes from our mentors that work at top-notch tech companies all over the world. Then the other thing is the group project, right? Our group project really not simulate, they are the real world. We treat you as a junior web developer in that group project, right? If you make a mistake, we show you how to do it better, just as we would do when you'd be part of the team. So that group project, I don't think any other coding bootcamp, at least in the online space, has that. So that's a huge one, and I think that will help you be so much more competitive. And actually what we're doing is we use the code that our students are writing in the group project where they built a chess application, and we share that with really like senior web developers that we want as mentors, and we say, this is what our students are building. Are you accepting the challenge of mentoring some of our students? And that's how we're recruiting a lot of our new mentors, because our students are able to produce such high quality code. So that should just give you an understanding of where we are in the landscape. It's like that group project and the depth of the curriculum is really, I'd say, okay, what else we got? Format of the lessons, already asked that. The learning schedule, self-paced, yes, definitely self-paced. You can code Thursday night, Tuesday morning. The one thing that's fixed is our office hours once a week. We set that in the middle of the week on Wednesday. And then your mentorship sessions, they're totally flexible. You're gonna arrange that together with your mentor. And then you have access to the learning platform. You can use the forum. You can go through your lessons, to the videos on your own time. Definitely. What is the general time slot for the one-on-one mentor days? You're going to have the mentorship session there once a week for 1 hour. You're going to have arrange that with your mentor, right? So originally we had them broken up into half-hour slots. That doesn't work. What we want to do is a deep dive. You need a full hour to actually work and build another feature, write some tests, write an algorithm, build something of substance on top of your existing skill set. Half an hour usually digresses into troubleshooting and adding little pieces here and there, but it's not as deep, and we want to do a deep dive in order to move your knowledge to the next level. So that was a great question as well. Do you guys have a job placement program to help with the interview prepping? Yeah, I said that before as well. The interview prepping starts pretty much in week 2 when you start writing your algorithms, because those are real world technical interview questions, right? And it goes all the way through. It's baked into the program. During the last 3-4 weeks, what your mentor is going to do is actually, they tell you if they would green light you, right? So they hire dozens and dozens of developers themselves. So you're going to ask like, okay, am I ready right now? Would you give me the pass through in a technical interview to join your team, be it at PayPal, be it at Yahoo, Flickr, wherever, right? And they will tell you no, and here's why. You need to fill these 3 holes, and let's work on those, right? That's crucial. That's super valuable if those, if your mentors are actually telling you green lighted. Not only shoots your self-confidence shoots through the roof, getting that kind of endorsement from a senior web developer, but it also helps you really well to understand where your knowledge gaps are, and then you can fix them together with your mentor. Obviously, if you need to restructure your resume, we have help for that. We also have certain lessons that tell you in detail what to expect in the technical interview, how to structure your online presence, all that stuff we have as well in the program. So great question. What else do we have? Time slots, I think I have that. Let's see if I got some questions over here. Devin say, I was told that one should learn JavaScript as first language, so is it okay to learn Ruby on Rails without any prior coding experience? All right, doesn't matter which programming language you learn first. That's my statement, right? What you want to do is learn one language, learn it really good. If you know that language well, you're going to learn and pick up other programming languages. I would say that Ruby and Rails, that framework, the combination of them is going to help you get to a place a lot faster than learning JavaScript. There's a lot probably people that disagree with me on that, but that's what we're seeing in the industry, and that's what we're hearing from our mentors as well, right? So learning Ruby and Rails will enable you to do everything that you can do with JavaScript too, but it will enable you to do it, I would say, probably faster. So we also teach you JavaScript, right? So that goes on top of that. So you're going to be that full stack developer that can build good looking web applications because you know HTML and CSS and JavaScript on the front end, but you also can make the back end working because you know how to write really good Ruby code and use the Rails application together to build something that is a real world web application. So I think you're pretty good on that one. So I wouldn't worry about that. Think about it in an abstract case. You know, if you're learning a language, like when I learned Spanish, I already learned German and English and Spanish. Once you know the first language, it's a lot easier learning the next one, right? Because you already know how things are working. So the same goes with programming languages. So I wouldn't worry about that, which one you pick. Pick one, go with it, get good with it. The next one will be a lot easier. So Ruby on Rails is totally gonna work for you in the beginning. So great question. Great question, Devin. All right, what else we got? I got a few emails here. Let's see. Okay, John, here's a good, I love that question. Describe your ideal candidate when you're going through application. What really excites you? What excites me, I think, are two things, right? Are you motivated and are you already trying, right? If we ask for two things, like why do you want to learn how to code and what's your coding background? And that's important because I want to see like, hey, you already went through some tutorials, you know, you already tried something. Maybe you have a website up somewhere on a server. Maybe you say like, hey, you know, I went through Code Academy, I went through Team Treehouse, I tried another resource, I read that book. Something like that. Did you already have that passion, right? And then tell me, what are your coding goals in detail, right? Like tell me like, I want to use this for my own company. I want to use the land a job because I'm currently in this job and I want to switch careers. And the reason for that is because I really want to have a bigger impact. So give you an example, right? One of our students, Erin from New York, she was a front desk office admin. And she said like, that's great, but there is no upward mobility in that job for me. So I really want to be part of the core team, right? And she went through our program and now she's interviewing at top companies like Artsy over in New York. And you know, getting those interviews for places she would have had no chance ever to even get an interview, right? Other students in LA, they now have jobs at startups making double or 3 times what they made before, right? That student was selling used cars of a parking lot in LA, and now he's the web developer for one of the startups and builds their core platform app. So those are things like that just like, you know, I'm so proud of the students, I can't even tell you, but that's kind of like the ideal candidate that we're looking for, you know. Give me something, tweet out about it, give me some of your background, you know, make yourself exciting. Do you offer any discounts or scholarships to women? Let's make that not gender specific because we wouldn't want to do that. Do we offer any scholarships or discounts in general, right? So yes, we do offer some. If you pay everything up front, we give you a $500 discount. Beside that, we believe in transparency. We want every student to pay the same tuition. So there's none of this when you're in a group project, right? These are your teammates. This is your network. All the students that are in our program, you're going to interact with them in office hours, group projects, you get to know them. You're going to spend time with them outside of the program. So we just had a student from Denver visit a student in LA because they really got along well and they want to hang out together and code in person together. So that happens. It would feel really bad if all you know is like, hey, it's like on an airplane. Everyone pays a little different and we give you this discount, we give you that discount. We don't think that's a good way of going about doing business. We want to be really transparent so every student knows they're paying the same price. The only thing there is, if you pay up front, that makes it easier for us to process your payment. so we give you a $500 discount. There's one exception we once made because we accepted a student from Africa where our tuition was 3 times their yearly salary. So we're like, you know what, you can come for free. That's the only thing. So if you're from Africa and you're in a place where your yearly salary is very, very low and your living conditions are really hard, but you show the motivation to learn to code, we can talk about that. So write me an email about that. Other than that, I hope that works for you guys. Let's see. This was a good question, John. Thank you. What else do we got? Here, got another one. Brandon, how many students are currently enrolled in your program? Usually we have at any given moment about 30 students enrolled in our program. We're really picky in who we accept into our program on both sides. We handpick our mentors, we handpick our students. That might change in the future. We probably have plans to doubling that number, but for right now, it's about 30 students that we have in the program. How many do we graduate? How many do you graduate? Dozens and dozens, I would say. Some students are still coding with us. They actually wanted to continue coding with us. But yeah, so multiple students. If you want to talk to some, send me an email. Happy to make introductions to that if you're serious about joining us. All right, this is awesome. I love all these questions. Okay, let me check back over here. All right, I think that's pretty much it. I have no more emails. I hope I didn't miss anything. But that was pretty much it. Guys, this was awesome. I had a lot of fun talking an info session with you guys, explaining the program, going through the core curriculum, telling you guys about the support system that we have, the mentorship sessions, who our mentors are. I hope this gave you a better insight of what we do and what we stand for at the Firehouse Project. If you want to get going, start the application process, go to theFirehoseProject.com, sign up or apply for pre-work, and we can get you started immediately. Probably tonight or tomorrow morning, you can start it building your splash page, learning some HTML, CSS, and then go into Ruby and learn that. Other than that, if you have any other questions or didn't address something properly, just reach out, email me. You guys all have my email, and I'll do my best to answer them. Other than that, hey, stay awesome. I'm probably going to go snow shoveling a little bit, or maybe have a snowball fight out there. It's still snowing like crazy here, but that was awesome. Guys, take it easy and enjoy the rest of your evening day. Bye now.